This week at Adepticon, we got a ton of new game reveals, Grand Cathay, Space Wolves, and Battletech Gothic. All this and more in this month's Hobby News episode. I'm Angela, you're watching Hobby Night. Now let's begin. Let's start with what I thought was the coolest reveal that we got from Games Workshop at Adepticon, and that was the reveal of Grand Cathay coming to the Old World. Now, this particular reveal was a total shock to me, and I think a lot of people in chat. While it's not completely unexpected, this faction is in fact in Total War Warhammer 3, but we've never seen this faction in anything Games Workshop has produced miniature-wise before. You maybe saw a single miniature, part of the War Dogs, because you could bring them in as mercenaries, but they were only ever mentioned in lore. We never got any form of mini, and now GW has blessed us with an entire plastic starter set for the Grand Cathay, and frankly, these miniatures look amazing. I am so hyped for this because genuinely, it also makes me hyped for Kislev coming down the line, because since they're doing Cathay, Kislev was sort of the counter to them in Total War Warhammer 3, and I very much expect we're going to be getting our bear boys, and I'm kind of excited to see how many bears there will be. Like, I want lots of bears. I think I want an exuberant number of bears, because in this, we're getting a lot of dragons. We're getting a lot of beautiful, beautiful dragons, and I am so hyped about them, but that's not the only thing we're getting. We're getting a lot of other cool mythical creatures. We're getting giant lantern balloon airships. We're getting sentinels. There's so much good scaling in this particular faction. I am hyped for us to look at the miniatures together. And can I just say, through this entire preview, I love the art that they used. It looks stunning. Like, the colors, the aesthetic, it's great. The voice acting, and our girl looking majestic as hell. I just love her, and in her dragon form, oh boy, I want to get my hands on that mini and paint her. And we're gonna take a look at them right now, because look at how cool these minis are. And I love the just scale, the various sizing of all these things, the variety. Dragons! I love them! Okay, we've watched the trailer. Let's actually gush about some of these miniatures a bit more, because I am thrilled. This is a very cool set. As I mentioned, we have not seen these miniatures before from GW. Never existed, brand new, fully plastic, and I genuinely had forgotten that, like, this was even a potential thing. Like, I've played Total War Warhammer 3. I haven't played it in a while, but when it launched, I was like, this is cool. Cathay seems interesting. I was a little bit more interested in Kislev because I like bears. I like big fluffy bears. But I was like, this is neat. Completely forgot that there was the potential that when Old World launched, that GW might actually give us these guys. And lo and behold, they have. We do have some basic troops. They look fantastic. They look like they're going to be really fun to paint. There's so much textures. Like, so many textures happening on them. We also, of course, have cavalry. Who doesn't love some good cavalry? I know I do, and these horses look stunning. I love the banner, but these are the miniatures where we really start making me go like, oh yes, I can't wait to paint these. I can't wait to get my hands on them. We have a Grand Cannon, and if you watched me paint the Bretonnian Trebuchet, you'll know that I really like models like this where there's a multitude of different figures, and I get to play around with a lot of different colors and variety, and this is totally doing that. And not only do we have a big-ass cannon we can paint, there's also a rocket battery, which is just fantastic. And can we just appreciate how, like, stunning the lion head is that the rocket battery sticking out of? It's so cool. The ogre's so cool. I love the old man, honestly, with his bucket, because I think he has a pack on the other one. But, like, the old man is probably one of my favorites. Like, him and the ogre are my two favorites of these two sets, and I just love them. But we're getting a lot of other cool things, like this amazing lord on a great spirit. I don't know what type of creature this is. Like, I do think this is a, like, in Chinese lore type creature, but I don't remember what the name of it is specifically. I want to say it's like Kiryu or something like that, but I don't think that's correct. If you know what it is, tell me down in the comments below, but I think this thing looks stunning, and I want 12 of them. I don't even need the figure on them. I just want a herd of these creatures in real life. It would be so cool. We also have another cavalry guy with a very cool banner, unfortunately not sculpted. that dragon is painted on there, which is not super surprising. They don't do a whole lot of sculpted banners in the old world. That was sort of a newer thing that started happening with like Age of Sigmar and as we got into Warhammer 40k and like the later editions of it and such. But it's still a very big banner that you could play around with and maybe do a huge decal on or just freehand. I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm doing with it, but it's a lot of potential, which is very cool. This is my favorite model though of this entire lineup. By far, the Sky Lantern. I just think it's so awesome. I love lanterns in general. I just think they're really pretty. They're very like delicate. And this thing is being used as a war machine, and I just love that. I love that juxtaposition of this delicate thing that you think could just be shot out of the air real easy, being used in combat, in war, and I want to paint it. And I want to see if I can like do this really cool shadowing that they got. Like it looks papery. Like the paint job on this, whoever painted this, whatever artist that they got to do this particular model for the reveal and everything, excellent job, excellent job. And just look at the detail of all the figures in the actual basket. Like that's what's so great about it. Look at this man's face. He's so excited. He's so excited to shoot you with this beautiful gun. I love these miniatures. The Sentinel is also up there as a very like, ooh, I really like this model. The only thing that's really holding it back is that it does kind of look terrainy, which I do enjoy, but I also feel like I could just see this as a terrain piece down the line, which might be one of the reasons that I get it, because it's really stunning looking. And I like the terracotta version that they did as well. Very, very nice. Now, of course, there is a book that's coming with all this, fantastic, but who we really want to look at is, and I'm going to probably butcher her name, so I'm sorry, Miao Ying, I believe is how it's pronounced. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But the Storm Dragon, she looks amazing. And what I actually really like about her individual figure, here we go, here's a little bit of a better shot of her. You can see that her foot's not actually on anything. She is floating on these rocks off of the flowing robes that are coming off of her dress. And I think that's so cool. It works so perfectly. She looks like she's just had gently like sort of floated down and she's just hovering now. And she looks so damn celestial and majestic and it's perfect. And she also transforms into a giant big purple dragon, which makes me very happy because if you didn't know this, purple's my favorite color. So overall, Cathay, I am very excited for, and it was probably the standout reveal for me. But I know some of you are chomping at the bit to look at our next reveal. So let's move on. Hey guys, I'm just jumping into the video to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because I know most of you aren't. If you're into the spicier side of the content, then you should join my VIP page. New members get 50% off their first month subscription, and I really hope to see you there. Now, let's go ahead and get back to the video. That's right, it's the return of the Space Wolves, and guess where they're ending up? Bloody Armageddon. Why do we have to keep going back to freaking Armageddon? Can we please leave the planet alone? Hasn't it been through enough? There are like hundreds of other planets in this galaxy, but yet we keep returning to blasted Armageddon. I'm so tired of going here. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm really cool to see all of the Chaos Legions and the Grey Knights duking it out with some brand new models, which is cool, like especially the Thousand Suns models that we're gonna see here in just a moment. They're very cool, but the Space Wolves are arriving as well, and that's what everybody was really hyped for. Although I will admit they sort of previewed this accidentally just before the stream began and gave an oopsie reveal of everything. So spoilers, but it's okay. The reveal was still very cool. Everybody in my chat during the live stream was just freaking out. They were all wolfing out, if you will. But honestly, I was freaking out over those Thousand Sun units. They look so good. They look so good. But the wolves are very nice. I'm not even a Space Wolf fan, and I have to admit that this collection of boys looks pretty damn cool. And I'm gonna talk about why I think they look pretty damn cool right now. Not only did we get a reveal of, yay, Space Wolf box, huzzah! Which I expect will be very difficult to get your hands on, especially if you're in the US. Thank you, tariffs, as well as the fact that like the Emperor's Children one just like disappeared. I imagine Space Wolves are gonna do the same thing. So pre-order it while you can. Get it as soon as you possibly can if you're a Space Wolf fan, especially if you're in the US, because I suspect this boy's gonna be expensive. A little bit more expensive than we've seen in the past. But it'll be worth it, because look at these handsome lads. And the thing that I love about these models, the reason why these models actually stood out to me so much more than I even anticipated, because again, not necessarily a Space Wolf fan. I don't think Magnus did anything wrong. I will stand by that, but these boys have some of the coolest looking head sculpts I have ever seen for Space Marines, and probably some of the most varied head sculpts that I've ever seen for Space Marines. And it kind of makes sense. I mean, the Space Wolves are probably like one of the hairiest legions of Astartes, so they have a lot more hair to play with, so they get to do fun things like give them mohawks and crazy beards and like dreads and cool long like braids. And like, I love this guy's face so much. It's just so good. Him, and then this guy with the like long dreads and braids, I love it. And also this guy with his mohawk and like the mutton chops, gosh, so good. And we don't even stop there. The Grey Hunters also got some great heads, like this man with his top knot dreads and the like full clean beard. Beautiful. Like, he's such a handsome lad. Then we've got our unibrow fella, which I think is also really cool looking, honestly, and I love his beard. This guy is just like generically handsome, but again, full beard, full head of hair. Then I'm surprised how many of these guys are wearing helmets. I didn't think Space Wolves really wore their helmets very often. I felt uncomfortable when I put a helmet on Ulfar in my own game when I was playing Rogue Trader. I eventually like had to just hide it because I was like, no. As much as I love the beak helmet, you're a Space Wolf. You should have your flowing locks free to like blow in the wind and such and get blood all over them and mixed in your beard and such. I imagine that's a thing for you guys. But like, it's so weird to see them with the helmets. This guy has so much hair. So does this one. Why do you have helmets on? I really, really like the head sculpts for the Space Wolves. That has probably been the absolute standout thing to me. And it really takes the cake with the Wolfguard head takers. We have some really cool head sculpts here. We also have a lot of fur, which again, texture is just sort of my thing. I really like a miniature that has a lot of texture. And these boys have big puppers with them, which is always great. Who doesn't like to paint, those wolves on Fenris that don't actually exist? They are good though. Oh, look how cool they are. I like the eye patch guy. He's got a great top knot. And I mean, at least with this, with the helm here, at least there's fur. So it's like they're mimicking their long, luscious locks. I can accept it there. The Wolfguard Battle Leader, also freaking majestic, has a couple different head sculpts. He just is stunning. Even more furs all over him. What can I say? I just think they look amazing. But really, and you'll have to tell me down in the comments which is your favorite, but I think for me personally, the 100% standout is the Wolf Priest. I think the Wolf Priest is my favorite unit of the Space Wolves, and it's because this is like the one unit that I'm like, no, the helm makes sense because he's wearing literally a wolf skull, and that's just so cool. And he has so many more furs. I love the jacket. Like, honestly, I didn't know that they could reveal their faces. I mean, it makes sense. Of course they can reveal their faces. That's not like a restriction. But like, I've never seen a Wolf Priest without his mask on. So I actually was really surprised to see these sculpted faces. I love them. This guy with the old man with the beard, the really intense beard, is probably my favorite of, like, if I wasn't going to do the helmeted one, which is probably what I would do this. Although it gives me some opportunities to take these and put them on other, leader characters and such and make them even cooler, kit bash a little bit. I do hear that wolf units are honestly, like the Space Wolf units are really good for that. Kit bashing is really fun and honestly a little bit more accessible, I find, with the Space Wolves, because you can just start throwing furs wherever you want and it totally works. Their codex looks amazing. So overall, I'm pretty hyped for this. And just as a little preview too, to show you what's coming. Right now, we've got Thousand Thuns, we've got the Space Wolves, the World Eaters, and Death Guard are coming. I'm actually very excited to see a couple new units for Death Guard. I've missed my boys. I've been painting them in 30K, but going back to them in 40K would be fun. And then we've got the Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights, Black Templar, and the Grey Knights, finally. And then on the horizon, we have a couple other things. I know that this is definitely Imperial Fist. This is definitely Salamanders. So hyped for some actual new Salamanders. Holy crap. How long has it been? How long has it been since we got like actual new Salamander models? I don't actually know. It's been ages, I imagine. So I'm really excited for that. I can't tell what this one is, this third one. So if you know down in the comments, let me know what you think this third on the horizon chapter might be. Maybe Votann? Maybe it's Votann? I bet it's Votann, actually. But you tell me in the comments, do you think I'm right? Or do you think it's something else? It's time to look at the Kill Team reveals. And I'll admit, this reveal had me very excited for one very specific reason. Because I feel like GW has finally been listening to me, screaming into the void, begging for this particular product for ages. And no, it's not new Tyranids, no, it's not new Mechanicus, although we do get those in this reveal. What I have been asking for since, honestly, even before I started this channel, but how would you know that? Because there's no evidence of it. But since this channel started, I have been begging Games Workshop to give us Xeno terrain. I want Xeno-specific terrain to put on my board and be able to play with. Well, they've answered my pleas, and they've finally given us some Tyranid-specific terrain. Now, to be fair to Games Workshop, we have seen Tyranid-specific terrain before, but I think this stuff looks so much better. They've redesigned it. It looks way cooler. You can see it already just in this shot of Typhon. But we'll talk about the miniatures first, because I imagine you guys are probably more excited about those. And honestly, some of these Tyranid miniatures I have found to be a little bit controversial online. Not as controversial as something else we're going to be talking about later in this episode, but I have been seeing people complain a little bit about these delightful boys. Now, I personally love them. I think they are goofy, and I love their stupid heads. This fin on the Prime is great. I love the multiple tendrils and the barbed tongue on this Tremor Scythe. And then this bulbous venom spitter, I love them. So my headcanon for this group of Tyranids, because I feel like they're breaking their own canon a little bit, or at least like trying to vary things up, which I personally appreciate, but I know not everybody loves it. But my headcanon is that the Hive Fleet, on their way to take out the Imperium of Man, found the galaxy in which Mass Effect exists. And they saw the Citadel and they went, that looks tasty. And they just ate everybody. And that's how we got these weird looking Tyranids. Because honestly, they look Mass Effect-like to me. Like, I especially this alien, or the tentacle guy, like he reminds me of some of the aliens in Mass Effect. This guy reminds me of Rex, like his race. And then also, even this fin-headed guy, I feel like there was some sort of alien in Mass Effect that had like a weird tall fin, maybe in the later games, I can't remember, it's been a while since I've played them, but like, genuinely, that's the vibe I get from these Tyranids. I don't know if that helps you like them more, or maybe you don't like them more because of that, but that's my feelings on them. I like them, I just think that they ate some people from Mass Effect. The Tech Priests are lovely, lovely AdMech. I have suspicions they may not survive this Tyranid encounter. Unless these servitors are as tough as the servitors that I fought in Rogue Trader, I do not know if these Tech Priests are going to survive. Because these Tyranids look nasty. They look scary. I would not want to meet them in a dark alley, even with as goofy as some of them do look. They still look scary as hell. And I don't know if these servitors are gonna stand up to the job, but I do think they look really cool, and I think it's fun that we're getting a variety of servitor miniatures. I just want to know what their stats are going to be. Like, these guys better be tough, so that they can survive those Tyranid attacks. But here's what I was the most excited about. I just want Xeno terrain, and look at it. We got some Xeno terrain, and I actually think it looks fantastic. I want to see this expanded. I want to see even more. I want to see Tau terrain. I want to see Eldar terrain. I want to see additional Tyranid terrain. I want to see Votann terrain, because technically they're technically sort of Xeno-ish. I know they're part of the Imperium, but like, I would like to see some Votann terrain. I just feel like it would be a little bit different than what we would see from the hardcore Imperium. I'm just tired of ruins, okay? I'm really, 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 really tired of ruins. So I want complete buildings, or I want alien plant life. That's all I'm asking for, and thankfully, I'm getting at least a little bit of it, and I hope it continues. GW, please continue to make more Xeno terrain. Moving into the world of Age of Sigmar, we got some new Spearhead reveals at Adepticon. Let's take a look.
Fight action-packed battles.
We got 4 new reveals for some different Spearheads this time around at Adepticon, and one of them has me really excited. Actually, 2 of them have me pretty excited, but one in particular I'm very hyped about, because it's my delightful Seraphon, which is the army that I've chosen to play in Age of Sigmar. So I get to expand my little lizard boys and add a whole bunch of chameleon skinks to it. I love these guys. The chameleon skink was one of my first major tutorials that sort of took off for me. So I'm really considering picking up the Spearhead and doing what I did with the last one and really focusing on those skinks, because I think it would just be so fun. Maybe even doing a return video to be like, can I do the same thing that I did before? Can I follow my own tutorial? That could be possibly fun. But we didn't just get Lizardmen. The Seraphon weren't the only ones we got revealed. We actually got a whole lot of other, well, 3 others specifically, and we're going to take a look at them now. We'll come back to the terrain. We're going to come back to the terrain in a moment. I want to take a look at first the Spearhead specifically. We're getting a Cities of Sigmar one, which is the other one that I'm very interested in. I know specifically Chaos Cultist sort of showed interest in this, and I know that there are puppers in this, and I wanted those miniatures, and this is a really good little collection, it seems, of some of the miniatures I was interested in painting, but not necessarily investing a full, army build into. So I like the idea of having maybe this smaller faction of the Cities of Sigmar with some of the key units that I thought looked neat, without having to fully invest in a full army. So I am interested in this particular platoon. This is the one I'm probably going to be getting, just bar none. I've got my chameleon skinks. I've got just more of my big boys. I like this axolotl looking dude with his big fin. I have no idea what colors I'm going to be painting him in, but I really, really like the sculpt. And we even have some pterodactyls in the back, which I've never, painted any of the flyers. I think that'll be fun. And I like the striping, actually. I might try to do that. We also got some OCR Bone Reapers, which I'm a big fan of the OCR Bone Reapers, but I don't really like how they play, but I like the look of them. And I've collected them because of that. I don't know if I'd get this particular one, although if you do want some of their big chonky boys, this would be a good set, I think, to get. The last one that we have to look at is the Ogres, which honestly, again, is a really cool looking set. And kind of an underrated faction, if you ask me. I think the Ma tribes are actually very, very cool. And I love that they get to have the little combo of goblins. What I also find very interesting about this particular set, and it's the only reason that's holding me back from necessarily wanting this one, is I actually have this hunter character in the front because he was part of an Underworlds kit. And I think some of these other goblins might have been as well. I know he came with a couple goblins, and this Saber Cat is definitely part of his kit. So I don't know how many of them are repeats, but if you don't have that Underworld set and you always wanted to get it or have these characters, this might be the best way to do it. Now, let's go back and look at some of that terrain, because I really, really like this terrain. It's coming in one of their new sets. And because I have been fighting Soulblight Gravelords a lot, this is super appropriate. And if they sell this separately, I might have to grab it. I especially also want to get these boards because I do like having a bunch of other play mats to be able to use. And then, of course, getting the new cards for the twists and all of that kind of stuff is also going to be really cool. So I'll probably end up getting this Sand and Bone pack just to be able to get the boards and everything and get that terrain. But we'll see once it is finally on shelves and what I end up picking up. Back in 2023, Games Workshop partnered with Bergschneider, a company that was making cosplay for the old world. And we have a brand new reveal this time for Nuln. And I actually think they look really, really good. I like this idea a lot. Like the idea of GW having officially licensed cosplay that people could then bring to conventions or use in videos is really, really cool. My one thing is so far they've only seemed to do human races or the human factions, and I really would love to see them expand beyond just doing Bretonnians, which is coming in 2026, and then the Empire, which is what we've been seeing now. Like, don't get me wrong, these guys look badass and the costumes look stunning, but gosh darn it, give me some vampire counts. I want a cool vampire count costume that looks as amazing as these Nuln costumes do, and that are officially licensed. Now, I will say that because these are officially licensed cosplays, they are a little bit on the pricey side. So if you are, especially if you're in the US and you go to Ren fairs a lot, you might be able to find similar garb at your Ren Fair from the makers there for cheaper. You won't have some of the GW flair and embellishments because, of course, you can't officially license that. That's what gets the price up. But you could probably get similar things and just make your own props if you wanted to really like make it feel Warhammer. But if you don't want to do that and you just want to go, hey, give it to me as is, make it 40K already, or not 40K, Warhammer already, give me some of that old world goodness, then just... You got it. It's right here. It's waiting for you. Look at him. He's staring at you. He wants you to buy this armor. Try to take it off of him. Okay, maybe don't. He might stab you with his sword, but it looks so cool. It genuinely looks so cool, and I would love to see more. I hope this partnership continues. We have a new major update for Darktide. Let's take a look. Peggy 18. Because they don't say it, and I really want them to say it. Ooh, my true potential, you say? Well, honestly, I probably will take you up on that, lady, because I have been thinking about jumping back into Darktide. Specifically, the Chaos Cultist and I have been thinking about jumping back into it because this update looks pretty cool. They're introducing a couple of new game modes. One, which is where you're supposed to be going into a Psyker's mind, which just sounds really, really exciting. It's going to be sort of a wave upon wave upon wave of enemies type deal. But I imagine the environment's going to be wacky because Psykers are pretty bonkers in the Warhammer 40k verse, and going into one's mind sounds just honestly not like a good idea, but also like a thrilling ride and excitement, and I want to do it. So I want to try out this mode, and it turns out that the Ogren has gotten a complete talent tree overhaul. And that's pretty cool to me because I tried the Ogren a little bit, but wasn't super in love with him when the game first launched. Now that he's had an overhaul, I'm hoping that maybe he will be the way that I hoped he would be, with just a giant, massive, meaty tank that holds like the biggest freaking guns and can just stand there and take everything. I want him to be a bulwark in front of everybody else with just a giant Gatling gun mowing things down. That's all I desire, and I really hope that they've managed to get that, along with also allowing me to bonk people really hard with a massive hammer. That's all I desire, and so that's what I'm hoping when I play the Ogren later. I want to give him at least a try before I jump back into the normal class that I was playing. But this is something that Chaos Cultist and I are both very eager to try. This update looks super cool, and the Havoc mode is there for those of you that have been playing the game since the launch and are like, we're top level and we want a true challenge. That's what that mode is specifically geared for, which honestly seems pretty cool. So if Darktide is something you've been interested in, I would highly recommend checking it out on PC, PlayStation 5, or Xbox Series X or S, and then maybe watching us over on the Hobby Night Gaming channel, because that's where the Chaos Cultist and I plan to check back in with Darktide and see how things are. I hope to see you there. Make sure to subscribe. Did you know that Blacktalon on Warhammer Plus got a Season 2? Neither did I, but apparently, and we're gonna watch the trailer, I'm actually really excited about this. Warhammer Plus was such a controversial thing when it launched, and I'm honestly a little surprised that it is doing as well as it is, and very pleasantly surprised, in fact, by that. I am also very curious if one of the reasons Games Workshop is pushing Warhammer Plus as much as they are still is because down the line they eventually want to sell those products to a different streaming service. I know there's been talk about Henry Cavill and Amazon doing some sort of Warhammer 40k series, and if that is still in fact true, which as far as I know it is, question mark, let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about that, then potentially maybe we're gonna see Blacktalon and all the other animations that are on Warhammer Plus eventually on Amazon or something like that. It would be very rad. I do not know if I don't know if this is enough to really draw me back into Warhammer Plus myself. I still have a subscription because I do check in on it occasionally, and I do want to support the product because I want to see these animations do well. Like, I want to see these people who are working on these animations and creating these stories, I want to see them succeed. So I want to see their products just continue to be produced and have a place to live. I just wish it was more accessible for more people, because I feel like that would then encourage more people to want to make more cartoons and comics and media like this about Warhammer and Games Workshop products, which I imagine GW would want too. But I don't know, you let me know. Have you been watching Warhammer Plus? Are you excited for the second season of Blacktalon? Is there anything else on Warhammer Plus that you've been excited for? Let me know down in the comments below. Games Workshop wasn't the only one making some major reveals at Adepticon, and now we're going to take a look at a couple of other companies that had some big reveals. And this next one, I think, is probably the most controversial reveal at Adepticon, and it is Battletech Gothic. Yes, you heard me right. Battletech Gothic. I am very surprised by this. I think I've heard people joke about Catalyst Game Labs doing something like this and bringing sort of a grim, dark future to Battletech, but I never actually thought that they would do it. But lo and behold, here we go. It's Battletech Gothic, which I had to stop myself so many times from saying Battlefleet Gothic, by the way, because that is a completely separate game, totally different, but Battletech Gothic constantly makes me think of it, so it's going to be really hard if I ever say Battlefleet Gothic in this discussion about this game. Just know that I'm talking about Battletech and not Battlefleet. Okay, back to Battletech Gothic. I am the audience for this. They are trying to appeal to me, the people who like Warhammer 40k, and frankly, for me personally, it is in fact working. I actually think these models look delightful. They are goofy, and I love them, and we're gonna take a look at some of them in the cases at Adepticon here and some photos in just a moment, and I actually think they look really, really good. But I have been looking online to see what people are saying about this, and I have seen so many Battletech fans going, "Oh my god, what are you doing? The whole reason we like Battletech is because it's not Warhammer 40k. There are no aliens, it's all just humans fighting each other with big giant robots. That's what we like about it." And with Battlefleet Gothic, it seems like they're introducing a variety of aliens and just a new setting, which is, for me, fine. I don't mind that. And again, I think these miniatures look pretty neat. Like, especially this guy. I really, really, really like this lovely lad. I want to paint him so badly. Also this guy, he looks very, very cool. But the thing that I think also has a lot of Battletech fans concerned is not the fact that this is just a Battletech Gothic sort of spoofing on Warhammer 40k. There are in fact plans for there to be many of these iterations where they're doing a bunch of different themes. The first one, of course, is Gothic, which I'm not shocked that they started with that, but it's a bold choice because it is so blatantly calling your attention to Warhammer 40k as well that I don't know if it's the right choice for the first step. But their next one is also an interesting choice. The next series in this is going to be ray guns and rocket ships, which I, again, don't really know if that's a theme that people necessarily want to see in Battletech. And if they're just going to keep sort of spoofing existing intellectual properties or concepts, I don't know how well that's going to work. Now, I do have a theory that I was talking with the Chaos Cultist about as to why they might be doing this. And it's kind of twofold. One, I do think this is trying to bring in new fans who maybe are completely unfamiliar with Battletech, but maybe familiar with some of these other aesthetics or IPs, and they're trying to bring in new people to play Battletech with that. That is sort of my main theory. The other theory is that I know that when Battletech originally started, it was an open license product. And I know that has caused some issues for miniature production and product production for Catalyst Game Labs in regards to this IP, because there's only like so much of it that they own, from my understanding, or something like that. And I do wonder if them trying to throw out these different themes is them going, which of these settings is going to stick that we can actually like trademark and really capitalize on and do a little bit differently than we've been before, because I don't know if the way that things are currently working for them, while it's really great for the community, business-wise, who knows? Maybe it's not doing so well for them. I don't really know. I'm just sort of throwing out my guesses here in speculation as to why I think this is happening, but it's an interesting choice, and I'd love to know your thoughts down below. Are you a Battletech fan, and are you excited for Battletech Gothic, or do you wish that they weren't doing this? Because I've seen a lot of people wishing they weren't doing this. Up next, I want to talk about the reveal that we got at Adepticon from Cool Mini or Not. And I'll admit, when I first saw this trailer, I went, wait, are they remaking and renaming the game Escape from the Forbidden Temple? But no, in fact not. But they are remaking a game that previously existed. It was just called The Adventurers, and it really, really gives me Escape from the Forbidden Temple vibes. There are traps, you're taking characters through these temples and trying to escape with treasure, and honestly, it looks really, really cool. Now, from my understanding, the original game series called The Adventurers were 3 standalone games that did not cohesively work together, which is what one of the major changes is with the Cool Mini or Not game. The systems are all going to be interchangeable, and supposedly they're going to be a little bit more cohesive with each other while still maintaining standalone status effects, which I actually think is pretty cool. I like the idea of the traps, I like the idea of having to escape these temples, and I really like the miniatures. I mean, I'm a big fan of Cool Mini or Not's products. I really, really enjoyed Zombicide the Black Plague. That was my first of their games. I did skip the first Zombicide because I am just not a fan of modern zombies, but I do love me some medieval zombies. And honestly, this looks pretty cool. If you are wanting to get your hands on this yourself, you can actually check it out on GameFound if it decides to load. There we go. You can find it on GameFound. It's currently not up for pledges, but it will be coming soon, and there's information you can get about the game in addition on this site. And frankly, it looks pretty cool. I, in particular, just really like the miniatures, but then again, Cool Mini or Not does just really good miniatures. I think they're really, really have like just nailed that. The sculpts look great. And I would be excited to paint these. So let me know, is this one that you're gonna be picking up? It's one I'm definitely gonna be keeping my eye on and see how it comes out. You know, I don't think there have been enough dragons on today's news segment, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Takir Dragonstorm trailer, which I hope to be going to my pre-release literally tonight. I'm actually very, very excited for this particular pre-release, and based off of what I've been seeing online, it seems like hardcore Magic fans are as well. I haven't seen them as excited since Bloomborough, honestly, which wasn't that long ago, but it honestly kind of feels like ages ago, and I don't blame them, because if you look at what Magic has been doing between the Universes Beyond and then sort of the hat sets, as they like to be called, like Thunder Junction and those kinds of things, the products haven't been exactly Magic oriented, focusing on the Magic story or the characters of Magic actually progressing their narratives and evolving as people. But with this new set, I feel like Magic might actually be returning to a little bit of a focus on their own narrative. And I, for one, am very excited. I'm also very excited because the cards look absolutely stunning. And who doesn't love a bunch of cool dragon cards? I know I do. A dragon deck is something that I have been wanting to build for quite some time. I've been collecting a variety of dragon cards from the D&D sets, and this particular set is going to, I think, be a great addition to me building a really, really cool dragon commander deck, because that is my ultimate goal with all these collections of these dragon cards. Now, I want to take a look at some of the actual cards because I think they're looking pretty cool. Now, we have some cool tokens and some generic characters and everything, which the art is still feeling much more in theme with what I feel like Magic looked like back in the 90s and the 2000s, which is not what I can say for some of the sets that we've been seeing coming out in the 2010s and the 2020s. But this is a really nice, refreshing change, and in particular, I'm really liking all of the big dragons on some of these cards. Of course, I mean, it is literally Takir Dragonstorm. That is the name of the set, so you would expect a lot of dragons, but there is a pleasant number of them, and I am very, very pleased. And they all look really, really freaking cool. But I also just want to go back and talk a little bit about how this set also feels like some of those older sets from the 90s and 2000s. And these cards in particular, like these 4, especially Duty Beyond Death and Elspeth Stormslayer, really, really, really give me those classic Magic vibes, and it's really nice to see. Because while I don't necessarily hate on the Universes Beyond series in the same way that a lot of hardcore Magic fans do, I actually really like some of them, and I am in fact very excited for the upcoming Final Fantasy sets. But I do understand that they are not always within the same vibe of the old sets, and I get that. that upsets some people, especially the old school fans. And I hope that this is doing them some justice. I really do think the cards look stunning. Gosh, like Rally of the Monastery, like I love how big this dragon, like just look how cool it is. All the colors, it's beautiful. I love the just like perspective on some of these, the motion, like in Rebellious Strike looks great. They're really beautiful cards. And I hope I get to pull some cool ones at my pre-release later this evening. Let me know, did you go to your Takir Dragonstorm pre-release? Are you excited for this set? And what card are you hoping to pull? Speaking of new TCGs, let's talk about Project K from Riot Games. Now, for those of you that are maybe unfamiliar with Project K, don't worry, I was a little unfamiliar with it as well. But it turns out this is Riot Games' Arcane and League of Legends TCG project. And we're finally getting a name reveal today with this video, and we're going to be able to take a look at some of the card art, which I think looks pretty cool. I do have some concerns because I find the cards a little bit difficult to read, but that's maybe just a me thing. I don't necessarily think it's an everybody thing. But I do think the art looks stunning. The characters are done so well, and you can tell that they're taking inspiration from Arcane specifically and not just the League of Legends art. And I personally love that because Arcane is where my love of League of Legends comes into play. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a game that I necessarily invest a lot in, though I do think I'll be collecting some of the cards just because I'm a really big fan of Jinx and Vi, and I would love to get some cards with them on it to add to my collection, because I actually did pick up the Magic the Gathering Secret Lair set where they had the Arcane release. And so I just kind of wanted to display some of these cards maybe next to those and have a beautiful collection between my two beautiful prints that I have of both Jinx and Vi, which the Chaos Cultist got me. So there's specific reasons that I have for talking about this particular series of cards, but I'm hoping that you guys are going to be pretty interested in it as well, because frankly, I think League of Legends is continuing to grow, and I think Arcane especially has been insanely popular, and they do have plans for another season, which is going to be a totally new story, maybe bringing in some of the other characters that we saw in seasons 1 and 2 and continuing some of their plot, but then introducing a whole variety of new characters going to a totally new region in the world. And if this game, if this TCG can follow suit, kind of capitalize on that momentum, and actually be an engaging TCG to play, I'm optimistic that it'll do well. I mean, a lot of TCGs have been competing with Magic and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Recently, like the One Piece card games and all that kind of thing, so maybe this Arcane game will be able to as well. And now we will know what it's called, because I don't think they've said it yet in this ad, but we're going to hear it soon. Oh, we get to look at the cards now. Okay, these look amazing. Like Victor looks so cool. If I pull one of those, I have a friend that I specifically will probably have to give it to because she's totally obsessed with Victor. But I do think the cards look stunning. That Jinx especially, she's so damn cute. My goodness. Oh my god, I just realized that if I do end up getting a booster box of this particular set, which there will be booster boxes available as well as Starter Decks. Those are the two known products coming out for it currently. They're so good. I really do actually like the cards. And you know, they have done some updates since I last saw them, which I think is partially what this reveal is of how the cards are laid out, because they are a bit more legible than I remember them being when I looked at them last. This is looking really, really exciting actually. And it's itching that collector like part of my brain. I need them.
It's kind of intimidating looking at all these cards.
We've got something just in mind for you, wrapped up in a single package. I'm talking about Proving Grounds, featuring Lux.
Yes, this is the set that I was talking about, where it's going to be a bunch of starter sets called Proving Grounds, which is really, really cool, and I like this idea.
Off the bench and into the game. Bring it to your regular game night. I promise it won't disappoint.
We couldn't do this all alone. To bring this game to markets globally, we've partnered with UBS, an industry veteran with almost 2 decades of TCG experience.
Okay, so they've partnered with another company to help them with this. That doesn't really surprise me so much. I don't know if Riot has specifically done TCGs before themselves, so it's probably for the best. Now, one of the things I do know about this system specifically is, when is the release date for it? And you might be thinking, oh, it's probably going to be in 2026 or something like that. No, actually, it's coming out this year. China's getting it first. They're going to be getting it in the summer, but
If you want to get
We are
your
going
hands
to
on
be
some of
rolling
these
out the
cards,
sets in
look for us
October
at some
for
of the
English-speaking
upcoming
countries,
Riot
which
and
is
Tabletop
actually
events.
very, very cool. So
Look for us soon
Riftbound
in your
is
local
coming,
game store.
and I,
Until
for
then,
one, am
follow us
pretty
on
excited
social
about
channels
it,
to
and
stay
I'd
up
love
to
to
date
know
on the
your
latest
thoughts down
Okay,
below in the comments.
for
Is this
real,
something you're
what about
excited
the
for?
set you
Are you a
design?
fan
those
of
are
League
done.
of Legends? Do you want to see these cards? Do you want to play with them? Is this even something
Set three.
that
got the
interests
deck
you even remotely? No? Yes? Let me know down in the comments, because I, for one, am pretty excited about it and hope to see more from them soon. Last, but certainly not least, we have some new paints coming to us from the Army Painter.
Infinity chose
And I'm actually pretty excited about this because I really, really like when paint companies partner with game companies to produce specific paint sets for their game systems. Because in my personal opinion, this is a great way to get new players into the hobby side of gaming, and I personally love it. Army Painter has done this with a variety of companies, including Battletech, which I did a video on, and if you want to watch me take on the challenge of just using the paints that come in the starter set for Battletech with Army Painter, you can check that out on the channel later. But this is a new one specifically for Infinity, which they've never done before. And one of the things that they're going to talk about in this video is how two of the paints are actually brand new and very specific to these sets, specifically to Infinity. Their colors specifically geared by the company, and they were very particular about it. And these are the two colors that he's talking about now. And I actually think they look really, really nice, especially that gray. That gray is beautiful. Now, for those of you that are concerned because you've really gotten into the Fanatics line and you're like, but I like the triads. Are these going to fit in with the triads? Everything will, with the exception of the two colors that he just showed, that blue and that gray. Everything else has an equivalence in the Fanatics line. They just changed the name slightly to make it more themed to the Infinity system, which is totally fine. They do this all the time. They've done it with D&D. They've done it with Battletech, as I said, and now they're doing it with Infinity. It's nothing to be concerned about, and frankly, again, this is a great set for beginners, and I can't encourage you enough that if you have somebody who's playing Infinity, to maybe grab this and get them to paint their minis, especially if these are the factions that they're playing, because these are two specific factions in the game, and it sounds like they're going to be doing additional factions later on down the line, which is very, very cool. The other neat thing about these sets is that you get everything you need, as he just said, to get started, and you get a unique miniature in the set as well. So if you've never tried Infinity, but maybe you want to try painting them, or maybe you've never painted a metal miniature before, and you're like, oh, that sounds interesting, getting this paint set would actually be a great way for you to get a cool looking metal miniature that you can then paint up and make look as awesome as you want it to be, which I just think is really, really neat. Like, I love these kinds of sets, and I hope that we continue to see more. I mean, I can't imagine why we wouldn't. Frankly, I think the Army Painter has done so many of these at this point that I can't imagine why they wouldn't continue doing it. But I really, really do hope that they do. I want to see more Battletech ones. I want to see more Infinity ones. And I don't think they've ever done anything with Games Workshop, but maybe down the line, they could do something with GW as well. But that is it for us on the news today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I want to give a major shout out to my YouTube members as well as my patrons, because without your guys' support, we would not be able to do this. So thank you very, very much for supporting the channel and helping us make content like you're watching today. If you want to join them, you can do so by clicking the link below in the video description. Anyways, I have been Angela. I hope you have a wonderful hobby night, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.